Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil karim. Tan Sri Zul, Rektor, dan Tuan Sri Dr. Syam Talib dan rakan-rakan dari IT, Cik Seri, Abusulayman dan saudara yang dimuliakan. Alhamdulillah, dalam masa yang singkat saya kembali ke Persidangan Antarabangsa ini. Dan saya beritahu kepada Tan Sri Zul ini mempersulitkan kerja saya kerana institusi lain akan mengeluh dan kalau tidak membantah. I have returned compelled by Hisham and my colleagues. Today it is a full day. I have to focus only on the budget for this Friday. And normally all sane and wise finance minister will not leave office 1 or 2 days before they present the budget. But with colleagues like Hisham and the brothers or Muna, they don't give me a choice. Now, Abdul Hamid, of course, is a dear brother. His contribution to this university was immense. A difficult friend, I've always said, is to Baika, his lovely wife and daughter is here, and friends, because he is very focused on the university. He is married to the university, obsessed about its development, and gave me very little choice, except to say yes on most things. And as Minister of Finance, I had difficulty because normally Minister of Finance I used to say no. But of course this exchanges was fruitful because it's not an issue of development, but it's a concept development. We aim to have this university as a center of excellence with full understanding of the concept of development of a university in itself. We brought in Farid Mustafa as an architect, some very renowned scholars, various exchanges, and Abdul Hamid was instrumental in all this. And because of his character, tough, Saudi, and Makki, and he would be able to then partly persuade, partly compel friends. And I'm of course very proud of the achievements. And Zul is aware of my personal feelings. We have to do more to ensure that the university comes back. I know in the last few decades there's less focus on its development and problem is even maintenance of the university, and we need to do more, and I think I will spend time. I've discussed it with the Minister of Higher Education and to ensure that the university is just not a university, but as Hisham said, as a center of excellence, to inculcate this Addabani Rabbi wa Ahsana Ta'dibi. There are some not the writings, but exchanges with Abdul Hamid, which I believe very, very useful. For decades, he tends to challenge us in some of this traditional mode of thinking. We are all Muslims. We were then quite committed to the call of Islam and Da'wah. We had to face also the problem of internal dynamics and contradictions within Muslim societies. He challenged, I remember, very early on the issue of understanding Islam and the tendency to be tied to what he termed as the fiqh mentality, to decide and to propagate Islam purely on legalistic what is right and wrong. Of course it's important, but not in terms of inculcating understanding to encourage a healthy discourse and debate. The second profound thing which I did allude to in my talk a few weeks ago is our understanding of the experience and challenges faced by Sultan Salahuddin Al-Ayyubi. We tend to equate him as a great warrior, a great leader who managed to then take control of Baitul Maqdis. Abdul Hamid, on the contrary, questioned that notion. He said, there's no success or conquest if you fail to understanding the first decade of Salahuddin's rule. The decade of consolidation, the decade of dawah, the decade of education, or making mosques as centers of education and education centers as centers of excellence. And through this, you create that momentum to give that sense of confidence, to be able to fortify the centers in the realm of kingdom and authority of Salahuddin, and then move forward. And in the 10 years, he was able to engage with Muslim principalities, with Christian kingdoms around that region, to be able to focus on domestic issues, education and understanding, and the religious zeal to struggle for Islam. This has been largely ignored. That is why I think in our discourse now, talking about change and struggle, we tend to ignore the importance of education, understanding, and creative thinking. And in the process, we focus purely on the legalistic issues, on what we term as the higher ideals, and in the process, of course, fail in many of our attempts to affect change in Muslim societies. serious, I have 5 minutes before I get back to work at the Treasury. Now, let me conclude, therefore. And Abdul Hamid was, of course, known to be a man impatient, wanting to effect change, and as I suggested, continuously questioning some of the more accepted norms of the normative mode. And that's why I popularized this Azmatul Aqal, because there's a crisis of the Muslim mind, and quite consistent to be read together with Islah al-Fikr of Sheikh Taha Jabir al-AWANI, a series of provocative ideas, challenging us to think and reflect and be more creative. And I'm pleased to know that our colleagues in the society and university have been quite productive in their work, publishing new literature, some of exceptional quality. And in this zone, in this tradition, is Dr. Anas Sheikh Ali's latest publication, Bias in Popular Culture. Dr. Anas is here, please stand up to be recognized. Of course, we have read umpteen books about Orientalism, which is considered a tour de force in Orientalism. I remember Martin Kramer, one of the known Jewish scholars, considered this as a devastating attack on Western academia and scholarship, and considers adversaries Orientalism as more powerful than the Iranian Revolution in the academia, because it actually challenged some of the accepted notions, concepts, but the prejudice, hatred against the other, anything that is not West or liberal West. Mainly Islam and the Arabs, but also the other, maybe Indians or Chinese or Latin Americans or the Africans. Here in this region, we have since 1890, the first written work by the great, I consider as a precursor of Asian Renaissance, Jose Rizal, who wrote about the indolence of the Filipinos. The indolence of the Filipinos, according to the Spanish colonial mindset, the Malay society, traditional societies are necessarily lazy, no interest in trade or economic progress. Hussein Alatas then published this phenomenal work, The Myth of the Lazy Native. I mention these books because having Abdul Hamid and the colleagues here in the Dubai team is most enriching. We continue to debate and argue. Marhum Ismail Farouqi, I remember when I was already a junior minister, met me just before the next Dubai conference in Ruston, Virginia, and just introduced me to Ernest Gellner's latest work, Muslim Society. And just informed me, I was already a minister, and he said, Anwar, read this book, we will discuss later. So, knowing him and how tough and cruel he can be towards his students, I had no choice but to try and make copious notes, understand the arguments in the book, and true enough, when I met him the first morning in Washington, D.C., before we could sit down, he asked me, what is your view on Ernest Gellner's account of Ibn Khaldun? No way can I, as a good politician, can escape because the topic is so specific. So that is the tradition. You are fortunate to have that. So with Anas, I think, my understanding, I had to struggle because I left my house at about 11:15, and I had to try and struggle with the book, and they got extremely tired at 1:40, and Aziza said, "You have work tomorrow." So in the 2 hours, I had to struggle with parts of the book. I didn't quite finish it, but I had the opportunity of reading the first manuscript of the book, and when I was in Sunebulu, I wouldn't want to say where, but Sunebulu. And is to my mind, one of the most compelling, meticulous study on the subject of Islamophobia, and beyond that, the bias in popular culture. But there's the challenge of our young today. The challenge popular culture that he expressed so brilliantly. I would have wished that we could also spend more time in digesting the book and making a good critique. But since this is the only occasion I have in this next 1 or 2 weeks, I thought I should make a special mention of this outstanding book. Thank you, Anas, and congratulations. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Please kindly remain on stage for our next event. I would like to invite Tan Sri Rector and Dr. Hisham to the stage to accompany Abdul Hamid, Prime Minister.